everyone. This is the guy who brought Daniel Fabron to life. Here is
Howdy.
Johnson.
Hi there. Good being here.
So, Kaiser, could you tell us, before we begin, could you tell us some of your works?
Sure. I've done both on-camera and voiceover acting. I'm in Transformers War for Cybertron on Netflix right now, so you can see I play Ironhide. The Siege chapter is out right now, and then they've got the next couple coming out soon, allegedly. So, and there's a lot more to come. So, and then I was in Battlefield. I've done the Smite and Paladins games. If you play any of those,
I have played a little bit of Smite. Which character are you?
I always forget which ones are in which game.
Yeah, I don't blame
the
you.
same company. I am the horrific harvester Apuch in I think that's Smite, and I'm Gentleman Genos, the tuxedo mask character in Paladins. So yeah. And then if any of you watch Stranger Things, I'm the evil Russian jazzercise instructor in season 3.
That was you?
Yeah.
What? Oh, okay.
It's just long hair. It's a hair roll.
I watched that. I had no idea at all. I probably should have checked your IMDb beforehand, but I figured I would be surprised, and it worked. So
there you go.
Let's go. I was gonna say the first question, but it's kind of the second one now. Whatever. So, have you heard of of Resident Evil series before? If so, what do you think of the series?
Yeah, I definitely heard of it before. I think I played maybe one game. My friend Patrick is a big fan of the series, and he loved the movies too and the games, and so he was kind of like the only person I played video games with the last decade here. So he and I would play games together, and so I was definitely familiar with the series enough. And actually, he and I were roommates for a while, and one place we lived at, there was a big one of our neighbors had this big van that said Umbrella Corporation on the side of it. Yeah. And they had it all it was a full riot van ready for end of the world kind of a thing. So
all right, so second question.
Yeah.
Were you aware of how big of a franchise Resident Evil is? Did you know it sold over $3.5 billion?
I had not known that. No, that's big. That is bigger than I realized. I mean, I knew there were several games and movies and that kind of thing, but I had no idea that the game series itself had sold $3.5 billion. That's a lot.
Yes, and I'll say, I actually got into the series by we're going into me now. I just picked up a pre-owned copy of Resident Evil 4. I had no idea about it, but it looked cool enough, and now here I am interviewing people and playing all the games.
That's awesome.
So question 3: have you ever played this game series? If so, which game is your favorite, and have you played Resistance?
I have not played Resistance.
I
know it's weird. I kind of echo what your last interviewee was saying. That I don't think I've played any of the games that I've done voices in. I barely watch the shows that I'm in. It is, because there is it's one degree of a little bit weird seeing yourself on camera and that kind of thing, and watching a performance once. I think it would be another degree of weird if it's I'm playing me in the game. and especially with a character like Daniel, to play that character who does all these horrible things and takes so much pleasure in doing it. And having it actually be voiced by me feels a little bit strange. But I have played some of the other ones. You'll have to forgive me. It's been a few years since I played them, so I don't remember exactly which ones it was. But I love shooting zombies. So
who doesn't, right?
Yeah.
So I also want to say, when I first heard your voice, I actually thought I went through a voice changer or something on Skype, because you sound so different from Daniel Like when you're doing the accent and everything, you sound totally different. I'd never, if I had heard your voice in real life, never would have known it was you. You know.
Well, there you go.
So thumbs up there.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, who is your favorite Resident Evil character?
Honestly, of the ones that I know, I mean, Daniel's kind of great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think there was another character I was reading for this game. Is it Tank? What is what are the four characters' names?
Okay. Are we talking the Masterminds?
No, not the Masterminds. The
Survivors.
The Survivors. Yeah.
There's Tyrone.
Tyrone. Actually, I read a little bit for him. And
there's Tyrone, Martin, Samuel, and those are just the three males. So.
Okay. So I read for what was the girl, Alexandra's character? No,
Valerie. Yeah,
Valerie. I read for Valerie. I did not read for Valerie. No, Tyrone was a lot of fun to read for too. Martin was great, but his is just such a different type from what I usually end up playing. That I was like, this is a cool role, but I'm not gonna get this one.
Yeah, you sound more like you do like cool characters rather than like nerdy characters, you know.
I do tend to play cool characters. Yeah, that's true.
Daniel is smooth. Okay.
That's what I do.
All right. So next question: what was the hiring process like? How did you get picked for Daniel?
Yeah, so this was kind of interesting. I must have read for it like 6 months before. So I got the audition from my agent, and it was a number of different roles, and obviously always on these things they always have code names and that kind of thing. So it didn't say it was Resident Evil, but I was like, gosh, this seems like it's some kind of a zombie game and a virus, and they said something about Raccoon City, and I was like, I think this is Resident Evil. And so I read for it and didn't hear anything at all. I read for Tyrone and Samuel and Martin and Daniel and there's another mastermind, right? Who's
there's Annette, Daniel, Alex, Spencer, and Nikolai.
I think I also read for Alex or Nikolai, and so I read for a bunch of roles, but easily I had the most fun doing stuff for Daniel, and I was like, did the script and then threw a little bit of my own stuff in there, and I was like, this character's too fun not to just play with a little bit. So I went over what they asked for in the audition, but sent it off. Didn't hear anything for like 3 or 4 months, and then my agent wrote me back and they said, hey, this project was in limbo for a little bit here. It's back on, and can you do a callback? And so or maybe it wasn't a callback. No, maybe I think they just booked me on it, and they said, hey, you're recording next week. So and then went and met the director and producer and engineer, and we recorded. So
it sounds exactly like what happened with Alexandra.
Yeah,
they're basically just like, hey, you got the job, and you're like, yes.
Yeah.
So
I love that email and love that phone call.
Yeah, it's just so easy. Yeah. It's not go back, and you're like, did I get it yet? You just have it. So
yeah, I mean, that's the nice thing about voiceover is a lot of it is just like submit it and forget it. I do the audition at home, send it off, and then if I book it, great. If I don't, no worries. Sometimes I get attached to the results of an audition, but with voiceover versus like on camera, there's so many more auditions that it's easier to just go, all right, well, I hope to get that. That was fun, and then move on.
Mm-hmm. This is how should I say? This is actually the very first game Daniel's been in. Mm-hmm. All other characters were actually, from different games. Like Nikolai's from RE3, and that's from RE2. Mm-hmm. This is Daniel's first ever appearance, like ever. So
Hope not last.
yeah, I hope so too, right? I really do,
Mhm.
because he was such a joy, the hat, the trench coat. You would be killed in style, no? Like, it's great stuff. And so at first I'm like, who is this guy? And then he's just like chewing the scenery, being the biggest asshole, and I'm just like, I like this guy. So I'm not sure if you knew that, but I thought I'd throw that little tidbit of trivia
Yeah,
out.
thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.
So,
And next question. You pulled off a really good French accent in the game. Do you
thank you.
speak French, or have you ever spoken French, taken any classes? Because I've actually taken French myself,
Mhm.
and Alexandra also said that she
Yeah, she said
you
she
know,
used to be fluent in French.
yeah. So whenever I was hearing you speak, I was like, his accent's actually not bad. My French teacher would probably give it a pass.
I speak almost no French, just a little. I mean, but one thing that I do sort of pride myself on is knowing how to pronounce stuff really well and doing accents pretty well. So yeah, we actually one of the guys. One of our engineers there was he was fluent in French, and so we would ask ask how did that was that if I ever felt like I was like I'm not sure about how that line went, we'd check it with him and he'd be like, yeah, no, sounds good.
Mhm.
So yeah.
All right. So let's see. Next question. Did you help with any of the lines? Like, did you change any of them? Did something just not come out right, and you were just like, and the director might have just been like, try it a little differently. Put your own spin on it.
Yeah, I mean, we so Jamie Mortellaro, is the was the
Yeah.
director on this and has done some other Resident Evil stuff and lots of other games. And he was really good about he would get the one that he knew that the producers wanted, and then he'd go, here's one I want, and then every once in a while he'd be like, this looks like a place to have some fun. Kaiser, why don't you just do some stuff? And so we'd do, and then after we had, we did 2 or 3 sessions, I want to say, because there's a lot for Daniel to do, and then at the end of our last session, we just went on a tear and started doing more just ones that we're just making up on the fly. So that was a lot of fun as well.
All right. So next question. Sorry. What is your personal favorite line that you spoke in the game, if you can remember it? You said that you haven't played it in a bit, and you also voiced it so long ago. So
yeah, I mean, there's just so much
so
fun. There's something about I want to get this right. You correct me because I'm gonna get it wrong, but it's something along along the lines of like it's like, you're so stupid. Bricks are going to be wanting their jobs back.
yeah. So there is something like that. I can't remember exactly, but and that actually really just sounded like Daniel. That is amazing how you just transformed your voice. It's like, whoa, okay. Oh, and before I forget, somebody in the group, CeeLo, wanted me to shout him out. So,
Hey,
okay,
CeeLo.
CeeLo, yeah, he is a huge fan of Daniel. So, just just letting you know. So, yeah, that line you said got me. Yeah. So, and next question: would you be open to coming back if Daniel ever made a return appearance?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Daniel's such a fun character to play, and I mean, it's just there's nothing that is too out there for him to say or do or that kind of thing. So absolutely, he's a ton of fun to play this character. I'd definitely come back.
Yeah, and a lot of people are just curious, or they think he's coming back because in like the Resident Evil 8 teaser, there was like this guy with like the monocles that or whatever that Daniel wears. So people are like, ask him if he's gonna come back. I'm like, I can't do that.
Well, and the funny thing is, like, so because it's coming from a Japanese game, it's something where like I wouldn't even know until like a month before it came out if I was going to be in it or not. So so I don't have any inside information anyway that I could share with you which I couldn't share with you even if I did, but I don't have any. So just I wouldn't know.
All right. So see everyone? Okay, he doesn't know. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. How did it feel playing a bad guy who eats the scenery? Was this your first time voicing like an antagonist?
That's a good question. It's certainly not my first time playing an antagonist. Yeah, on stage and in shows I've done some of that. But is this my first time voicing? It's certainly my favorite time voicing voicing an antagonist. Because I mean, yeah, absolutely. Just like you said, Daniel totally gets to just completely chew the scenery, which is, I mean, how much fun is it to just deride these characters and then go, oh well, he's just thinking about his own thing, and then he comes back to what he's doing, and it was a ton of fun, and yeah, it was great to get to do.
All right. So let's see. How did you get into doing acting and voicing work like this? Did you always enjoy doing this?
I mean, from when I was a kid, I used to, record myself and play it back and listen to it. We had, one of those little old 1980s Play School recorders where you could put it in a tape and you could record it, and it was,
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah.
We're old, man. We're old.
And so I would do that, and I just thought it was, I would always be trying to do other people's voices and go, does this sound like? And my dad would go, well, that sounds like a kid trying to sound like Elvis Presley, or and so I really liked doing that growing up. And then in about 7th grade, I went to a play. It was Romeo and Juliet, and they had like a talk back with actors afterwards, a Q&A and stuff. And there was a point where some actor said in passing, well, this is our job, and so we have to. And I was like, wait a minute, you can do this as a job? That's it. That's what I want to do. And so from that point on, I was just looking to get in, do all the acting that I could. At first, it was theater, and then on camera, and then I had enough people talk to me and go, hey, have you thought about doing voiceover? Because you got a good voice, you got an ear for other voices. Have you thought about doing that? And I was like, well, no, but it sounds really cool. So I started to get into that.
All right. And if it's okay for me to ask you this, what do you prefer, voice acting or on-camera acting?
Boy, it's fine for you to ask me that. I'm not sure I have an answer for you. There's so much, they're so different, and I really enjoy both of them. I think one of the things I love best about voice acting is there is so much room for your performance to be like, in voiceover nowadays, they're always talking about like, we want it really real, really grounded, and that kind of thing. But it's still, way bigger and different and more just kind of out there and exciting than a lot of, the very sort of subdued dramas and that kind of thing. So that's one thing that's really fun about voice acting is there's a lot more sort of playtime that happens in that, in creating these characters and that kind of thing. And it's cool to get to play characters who are, you can always play characters who are not much like yourself, but, to get to play characters who are nothing like yourself, like I did dubbing of, I was in Lupin the Third. I don't know if you have
Actually, I've only really seen like this movie
for
Lupin the Third. I can't remember. I just remember seeing it on Netflix. I hadn't watched any of the series or any of the material, but it was so well directed. I was like, this is really good.
And actually, that's one more where I played a guy who's kind of similar to Daniel. There's another villain who kind of chews the scenery, not as much as Daniel does, but Albert Dandracy is the villain that I played in there. But I also played another character in there who's, this like probably 70-year-old, 4-foot tall guy who runs this crime ring called the Rat Clan, and like that's so far, like I'll never play something like that on camera, at least not until I'm 60 and 4 feet tall. But
You'll get there one day.
I hope so, boy. uh, but so that's one thing that's really fun about voiceover. But it's also really fun to and to get to really just jump into a role and be on set with other actors, and there's a lot more a lot of different kind of
different acting,
give and take, and
like
there,
different experiences.
Yeah.
Because what I will say is, whenever I'm whenever it comes to acting and I watch actors on screen, like I'll remember what they do, but I don't really remember what they say. But when it comes to voice actors, of course, like I play a game, that line is like always, like I always think of it, like with Daniel, right? I can think of the lines because they're so like the voice is just so clear, and it's like I don't know, it's just it's hard to describe, But I do like me some voice acting. I mean, that's why I'm doing the interview.
Yeah.
So I think we touched upon this earlier, but does it ever feel weird? Does it ever feel weird listening to yourself when you watch or play something that you've been in?
Yeah, it does. And yeah, we did touch a little bit on this. It is something where it's a little bit weird, because there's one video game series that I can't talk about yet, but I'm in.
Okay,
and it's
don't worry. No, don't worry.
No. I know you're not going to ask me to, but it's one that it's a video game series that I've actually played a lot in the past, and I'm almost like, gosh, I want to play this one of it, and I will play it, but it's just it is a weird thing to play a character that you played. If that makes any sense. But sometimes, go ahead.
I was gonna say, because it's like when you play Daniel and you just hear him say like the same thing for the 8th time, you're like, oh god, like I can't like, do I really sound like that? Like,
well, that's the funny thing is I remember I was listening through some of Daniel's lines afterwards, and because someone I don't even know, I don't know how you do this or how they did it or who did this, but pulled all of the lines.
Actually, I know who you're
lines.
talking about. I know who you're talking about. I'm friends with him on Steam. And
nice.
I told him, like, I got an interview with my dude. He's like, oh snap!
Yeah. Well, great work, whatever his name is, because
LC Musho, I want to say.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yes.
Because that was really cool. It's something like 1,200 lines or something like that, and I thank you for doing that. But I started listening back to some of those, and I was like, I don't even remember doing that. Did I say? Yeah, and I guess I did. Because I recognize that it's me. But it's some of those I laughed out loud, and I was like, that is a really funny line. Those are good writers. So
yeah. Because I really don't expect voice actors to remember specific lines unless it's like a meme line, like like 808 or Where's Everyone Going, Bingo, or any of that stuff. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. So so let's see. Next question is, are there any video game projects that you would want to be a part of? Is there any series that are close to your heart that you're just like, man, if I could be in that, I would totally want to be in that?
Yeah, there are a couple I would love to do. I would love to do a BioShock game or something in this similar vein of that.
Yes.
What is that? What is that other one that came out in 2019 that is kind of like the same sort of vintage feel to it, but it's in the future? And oh gosh, I can't remember.
Was it by chance Prey?
Maybe. I don't remember.
There was can you describe the opening?
It's the one where all these corporations, basically the whole world is just corporations now, and they have this ultra-violent sport called something. But wow, I am losing all of my video game street cred right now.
Don't worry.
I'll figure it. I'll remember. But it's that one would be cool too. Just because the feeling of the game is so cool, and just that. This kind of creepy, like pre-Twilight Zone era kind of thing is really cool. I'd love to do so, like a BioShock game or something like that. And You know what else would be fun is one of the Uncharted games would be so much fun to be in.
Yeah. Would you
Yeah.
would you want to be a villain or a hero in Uncharted?
I mean,
I would love to. I would love for you to like bring your villain side to
yeah,
Uncharted.
they've got the hero covered. I feel like I would love to be a villain in an Uncharted game. That would be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So,
All right. So thank you very much for your time. Do you have anything
my
to say to
pleasure.
your fans in the Facebook group?
Um, thanks for being fans. Like that's amazing. Thank you. If you want to learn more about what I'm doing, please check out my website. This is a shameless plug here.
Oh
It's
yeah, yeah.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, and I'll make sure to post it in the Facebook too. You know, we got to
Awesome.
get you as much street cred as we can.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to find out the other games that I'm doing that I can't presently talk about, but will be able to very shortly, go to Kaiser-Johnson.com. That's Kaiser-Johnson.com. And then I'm just at Kaiser Johnson on all social media. So,
All right, and
yeah.
thank you very much for your time.
Well, thanks
All
for
right,
asking me to be here, Jonathan. I appreciate it.
all right. Have a good one.
All right, you too. See ya.